Hello and welcome to New Perspective አዲስቅኝት Media.
New Perspective አዲስቅኝት Media is a Toronto-based digital and broadcasting media outlet that focuses on immigration, literature and art, community and culture.
If you have comments, questions or suggestions, please email us at addisqinyit@gmail.com or call us at 647-761-7252.
You can listen to our weekly live radio on iHeartRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel and download our app. Please visit our website at www.addisperspective.com. So, how's tonight?
Well, tonight is amazing when Chrystia Freeland gave the 3 awards to those Ukrainian journalists who work for AP and their work in Mariupol. Like, honestly, that's what this gala is about. It's about honoring, recognizing journalists who risk their lives, essentially to do their job, you know, and so that's, I don't know, I find that incredible, and I think everyone here, the 350 people here, do, and we've always done that. Whether it's when in the Philippines when all those journalists were killed during the election campaign quite a few years ago, or wherever it happens in the world where journalists risk their lives to tell stories. That's what this is about. But it's also about the work that CJFE, the Canadian Journalists for Free Expression, do in Canada and in the legal system. And all those things all add up to what? An amazing gala and an amazing organization. Yeah.
You do this after 2 years break of COVID-19?
Almost 3 years, yeah. I don't think we've had one for 3 years.
Yeah.
And you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell by the spirit in the room and just how touched they are by the stories that are told. You know, the story of those 3 female journalists who get such hate mail and are attacked. Like, I mean, I don't experience that. But that's happening here in this country, as well as many other countries. But it's happening here in this country, and that is abhorrent.
Yeah. What's the most important challenge that a journalist faces in this trying time?
Well, the biggest challenge everyone has is trying to get at what is going on underneath, and what do you have evidence and proof of it. So that no matter where you are as a journalist, that's true. But journalists in countries where there isn't as much freedom to be a journalist. So, example, in a place like when you're covering a war, the truth gets lost, doesn't it? You know, that's the first victim of war, is the truth. And so journalists working in a war environment, really, really tough and of course very dangerous. Or like in Iran, where essentially you're working under fear of your life. Like, I was talking to an Iranian journalist who came to Canada. He asked one question, and it wasn't like a really difficult question. It was a question, well, why did you do this? To an official? And guess what? He felt he had to leave because he feared for his life. And I've done work, I've done democracy work in Cambodia through CJFE a long time ago. Same thing for journalists. You know, because if the regime doesn't like what you ask,
You're out.
yeah. And so this gala is about honoring all journalists and the relationship to democracy.
And many exiled journalists are coming to Canada because this is a safe haven. And what do organizations like CJFE are doing for these exiled
Those
writers?
exiled journalists. Well, so for example, you know, tonight we were honoring a table of Afghan journalists. So we played a huge role in working with other journalist organizations to bring them to Canada, really to safety. Because if they'd stayed in Afghanistan, the Taliban doesn't want them to be reporting essential things that the Taliban are doing or the truth. And so, yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, so that's journalists in distress, which we support. But we do that in conjunction with other organizations, because together we're stronger. Yeah.
Interesting. So your role in the
You know, I'm a volunteer board member,
Yeah.
and I've been involved with CJFE for, I don't know, 20 years.
And your name, full name?
My name is Havoc Franklin.
Oh, and your background is journalism as well?
Yeah, I work for CBC. So I've worked in radio, television.
Women in journalist work has led to more than 600 evacuations, relocations, and other forms of emergency assistance for women and LGBTQ+ journalists from Afghanistan, Ukraine, Iran, Mexico, Egypt, Iraq, Syria, Pakistan, and Turkey. Let's applaud for that. The Coalition will be announcing a program based out of Canada called the Women in Journalism Institute. Today, the Coalition for Women in Journalism is honoring Kathy Gannon, who covered Afghanistan from the end of the Civil War to the fall of the Soviet and eventually the U.S. withdrawal of Afghanistan. Kathy broke many barriers in our industry while covering some of the most vital and globally critical stories of her time with deep compassion and integrity. Since the inception of the Coalition for Women in Journalism, Kathy Gannon has been a great advisor, mentor, and ally to countless women journalists the Coalition has mentored and advocated for. This award honors and distinguished women journalists who continue doing that, breaking new barriers that come with journalism today, with great conscientiousness and bravery. This award also celebrates one of the Coalition's greatest values, camaraderie and spirit of peer support, which this year's awardees demonstrate in their work ethic and initiatives. The inaugural award goes to two outstanding journalists who are now making their own legacies. Both of these journalists have been selected because in addition to their intrepid, courageous reporting from difficult countries, their work demonstrates a sense of duty and devotion to community. I'm happy to announce that the winners are Zara Nadir, Afghan-Canadian journalist and founder of the Zan Times, and Joanna Chu, Toronto Star International Affairs journalist, author of China Unbound, and chair of New Voices. Zara, this is for you for your brave and dogged reporting that has amplified Afghan women and people, often in the absence of access into a country under the Taliban, and for creating a platform for Afghan journalists called the Zan Times. And Joanna, this is for your courageous and insightful reporting on China, its human rights abuses, and power systems that impact the world, and for your work with New Voices that highlights Asian women experts and voices.
Dear colleagues, thank you for receiving us award. It's really important for our team, as well as Ukrainian journalists receiving this award. I think it's especially nowadays when we see and feel this new escalation of Russian invasion, which is growing up every day in Donbass. We would like to be with you in Canada, but unfortunately we are here in Donbass. As you see on the behind of me, it's a school which is destroyed by Russian rocket attack, which we can hear every day. This escalation need to be covered and documented as much as it is, because it's really important for Ukraine. It's really important for the world to see what's going on in our country.
Hello and welcome to New Perspective አዲስቅኝት Media.
New Perspective አዲስቅኝት Media is a Toronto-based digital and broadcasting media outlet that focuses on immigration, literature and art, community and culture.
One thing I learned throughout this whole experience is that silence doesn't keep you safe, and neither does obedience. And if we think silence and obedience are going to keep us safe, or are going to keep us invisible, or are going to keep us from experiencing hardship or negativity, it's wrong. And I think sometimes that is the advice we give, and I just want to tell people, women especially, that's not true. It doesn't. And so what would you do otherwise? Well, you hope that, like me, you have a community that can help you, that can comfort you, that can, give you advice and give you love, really. And so, yeah, I always encourage people, especially when I go talk to youth, and you build a community, and once you build a community, you have something to fall back on, even if you don't know how they're going to help. If you have a true community, they will be there. It may take a day or two.
Yes.
But they will show up for you. So only surround yourself with people who show up for you.
Lovely. What's being a voice for the voiceless, being as a black journalist and as a woman? Because it's both these groups are marginalized and suffered a lot over the years. So how do you express that?
Well, I write a lot about federal politics and politics in general from the lens of those voices, or not speaking for them as much as highlighting things that would pertain to them. So I think that what happens is a lot of our voices are crowded out of politics and of policy. And so when you have people making policy, we're not even considered. We're not even a thought. And so in that way, my job is to actually say, hey, there are communities here that are going to be adversely affected by your policy. Did you even bother to think about them? And to the community, it's like, hey, these guys, and I do mean men, are doing some terrible things that are going to adversely affect you. And I'm giving you this information because that's my job. So that's it.
And your parents, I saw your mom and dad.
Yes, mom and dad, who I cannot find right now. I think they went upstairs.
What's their role in your profession? I mean, in your journalism?
So my parents used to talk about politics at the dinner table when I was a child, and I guess they didn't know how much it took. So they actually gave me the foundation of principles that where you fight for people who are more vulnerable than you. You fight for vulnerable communities. That's your job. That's our job. We are supposed to be here for each other. And so I think that kind of foundation, there was a time where I wasn't as I tried to do what mainstream wanted when I was younger, and then I realized that that's not who I am, and that's not how I was raised. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
And your message maybe for the Black History Month, and what do you wanna?
Learn your history, because 99% of people you come across, or 95 maybe, don't know it, and they will try to tell you who you are through your history that they don't know.
Interesting. Your name and what's the media that you are working in now?
So I
currently?
have a podcast called the Bad and Bitchy Podcast, and we talk about politics and pop culture through a feminist lens, but through a lens of equity, really, through marginalized voices. Yes.
So what is that podcast name?
Bad and Bitchy.
Bad and Bitchy.
Yes.
I'll find it and my listeners will find it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Suggestion, I think. I wanted to start by thanking everyone at CJFE for inviting me to be here tonight. Now, I say that with a wry smile, because as everyone here understands very well, there are few places more dangerous for a politician to be than a room full of reporters. But as I also understand very well, and as I know everyone here understands too, one of the cornerstones of every democracy, including our own, of course, is a free and independent press. Des organisations de presse robustes, libres de toute ingérence, des riches et des puissantes. Des journalistes qui peuvent mettre en lumière les actes répréhensibles sans le risque d'être menacés. C'est une affirmation facile à faire, mais nous ne devons pas tenir pour acquise la liberté d'expression. Et nous ne devons jamais oublier qu'une presse véritablement libre sera toujours confrontée à l'opposition. Parce qu'une presse libre est intrinsiquement et nécessairement inconfortable. There is not a politician in Canada, at least not a smart one, who doesn't worry a little bit when the cameras start to roll. And you know what? We should be a little nervous when you ask us questions, because your job is to hold us accountable. Your job is to test our policies, to test us, and to probe for weaknesses. And as someone who has both asked those questions and had to answer them, let me tell you one thing I absolutely know is true. A free press makes our democracy stronger. Knowing that I will face your questions forces me to try to anticipate. It forces me to double and triple test my own policies, my own ideas, to try to ensure that they will survive your scrutiny. And when I make a mistake and you report on it, that gives me the chance to quickly course correct. Le journalisme rendre notre démocratie plus
If you have comments, questions, or suggestions, please email us at addisቅኝት@gmail.com or call us at 647-761-7252.
You can listen to our weekly live radio on iHeartRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and download our app. Please visit our website at www.addisperspective.com.